The promise of wealth glistens on the Las Vegas Strip. However, there was a shadowy side to one shopfront that no TV camera ever managed to catch. Through Pawn Stars, audiences welcomed the charismatic and knowledgeable businessman Rick Harrison into their homes every week. He developed an empire based on trust, authenticity, and history. However, what if everything you believed to be true about the encyclopedic mind pawnbroker turned out to be false? When FBI officials raided Harrison's vast Las Vegas property, they were unprepared for what they found concealed behind the walls of the seemingly normal millionaire's residence. 25 remains were kept in carefully guarded hidden rooms that contained evidence of atrocities committed over several years. He was born on March 22, 1965 in Lexington, North Carolina, according to the documents. His early years were marked by hardship, especially his struggle with epilepsy as a child. Young Rick, confined to bed during severe bouts, turned to literature to satisfy his insatiable curiosity, which would eventually come to define him. His escape came from the pages of history books, which served as the ironic basis for a man whose own life narrative would ultimately serve as a warning. In 1981, the Harrison family moved to Las Vegas in search of better opportunities in the oasis of the desert. Rick and his father started Gold and Silver Pawn Shop in 1989, setting the foundation for what would grow to be a historic company. Over time, what started out as a small pawn operation became into something remarkable, particularly when television producers realized how entertaining the historical artifacts coming through their doors might be. When Pawn Stars debuted in 2009, it launched Rick Harris, the American Dream, a self-taught individual who achieved success with perseverance, hard work, and education. When financial investigators discovered anomalies in the pawn shop transactions, Harrison's meticulously crafted facade began to show the first signs of weakness. As trends showed that the lawful company might be a cover for illegal activity, what started out as a regular audit turned into something much more sinister. At first, the FBI's investigation was centered on possible financial crimes, money laundering, tax evasion, and illicit transactions. Agents anticipated discovering evidence of financial misconduct. They were unprepared for the horror that lay beyond the elegant appearance of the home. Like any previous search warrant execution, Harrison's house was raided, methodical according to the book. However, the investigation took an unsettling turn when agents found Harrison study's first concealed chamber behind what seemed to be a solid wall. Investigators discovered evidence connecting Harrison to an underground network of criminal activity, black market transactions involving unlawfully obtained historical artifacts, and painstakingly organized paperwork detailing connections to organized crime personalities inside the concealed location. A startling reality was exposed. By the materials, a large number of the things on Pawn Stars were acquired illegally. Their origins were fabricated for TV. The store that had established a solid reputation for authenticity was dealing in stolen records. However, the tangible proof of financial crimes paled in contrast to the findings of the agents' subsequent investigation. The first of the final 25 bodies was found in a secret basement space that could only be reached via a highly advanced device that looked like a regular bookcase. Victims who went missing over a period of almost 20 years. Numerous victims seemed to have ties to Harrison's clandestine activities, and forensic investigators put in endless effort to identify them. Others were rivals in the illegal antiquity trade. Some had threatened to reveal details of Harrison's scheme. Instead of crimes of passion, the methodical manner of the concealment pointed to a planned long-term enterprise. One victim at a time, the guy who had established an empire based on historical knowledge had been painstakingly erasing his own sinister past. The public's reaction upon hearing of the discoveries was one of astonished incredulity. How could the friendly businessmen who were acquainted with a cunning criminal, in order to distance themselves from Harrison and the tarnished image of their flagship program, the television network abruptly terminated Pawn Stars. Once a popular tourist attraction, Gold and Silver Pawn Shop turned into a macabre oddity when foot traffic to surrounding businesses fell, and tourists began taking pictures of the building's exterior from across the street. Tourism officials in Las Vegas hurried to lessen the scandal's negative effects on the city's reputation. Harrison's closest friends and family members were also affected. Despite having a significant appearance on the show, his son Corey remained completely unaware of his father's illegal actions. As they looked further, authorities discovered no proof that connected Corey to the crimes, confirming his denials. However, the younger Harrison was caught up in the controversy, his reputation inextricably tied to his father's behavior. When interviewed, Austin Chumley Russell, another well-known figure from the store, expressed surprise and said he had never suspected the sinister currents circulating beneath the business's surface. Investigators discovered evidence indicating Russell might have been aware of certain financial irregularities, even though they were unable to establish a clear link between him and the most serious offenses. Due to his inability to report suspicious activity, the amiable comedic relief of Pawn Stars was facing minor charges. The disclosures devastated the Harrison family. In hindsight, Rick's ex-wife's accounts of domineering conduct and unexplained absences matched the chronology of disappearances that are now ascribed to him. Family members spoke of what appeared to be pathological compartmentalization, how Harrison was able to move fluidly between his illegal operations and family get-togethers without displaying any symptoms of his inner darkness. Prosecutors gathered substantial evidence that connected Harrison to the killings and illegal activity as the case proceeded to trial. An unbreakable case was built using DNA evidence found in the underground chambers, bank documents showing illicit activities, and accounts from associates who had seen Harrison's darker side. Harrison's defense team tried to claim that their client had been set up by envious rivals or organized crime groups searching for a fall guy, but they were unable to refute the overwhelming proof of his direct involvement. With every new discovery regarding the scope of Harrison's illegal network, the trial turned into a media circus. In their testimony, former co-workers detailed his role in the trafficking of stolen artifacts, explaining how objects that had been heavily highlighted on Pawn Stars had been illegally acquired and had had their histories falsified to create captivating television. A former black market dealer's testimony, which was the most detrimental to Harrison's defense, described how Harrison had utilized his notoriety on television as the ideal pretext for his illegal business. Who would have guessed that the man teaching America about history on television was actually pilfering? The witness stated that his biggest strength was his public presence. Harrison's renowned poise broke under cross-examination when he stood up for himself. By presenting him with evidence that refuted each of his claims of innocence, the prosecution painstakingly broke down his denials. The jury returned with guilty verdicts on all counts, including several allegations of first-degree murder, racketeering, and trafficking in stolen items, after only 6 hours of deliberation. The judge acknowledged the specific betrayal that was a part of Harrison's actions while imposing a sentence of several life sentences without the possibility of release. Although you desecrated those very ideals in private, you established a reputation for knowledge, history, and trust in the public eye. The deliberate deceit you kept up for years in the public eye makes your actions much more heinous. Harrison's empire was in shambles when he was escorted out of the courtroom. The once famous pawn business was shut down for good, and its stock was confiscated as proof. Instead of being a celebration of history and enterprise, the television program that had made him famous was reduced to a footnote in real crime documentaries. Following the incident, Las Vegas made an effort to disassociate itself from the Harrison legacy. The tangible evidence of what had happened there was erased when tourism officials eliminated any mention of Pawn Stars from advertising brochures and subsequently razed the abandoned business structure to make room for new construction. Families of the victims at last got information about their missing loved ones. Even yet, the terrible realization of what had transpired accompanied the close. People who were only related by the awful way their family members' lives had ended came together for memorial ceremonies. The Rick Harrison case is a terrifying reminder that outward appearances can be deceiving, and that the characters we accept from our screens may be hiding darker sides. It makes us think about how readily we place faith in someone depending on their perceived charisma and level of competence, how totally we can be duped by someone who are adept at deceit. In addition to the lives he took, Rick Harrison's ultimate sorrow is the violation of public confidence. How he built an empire on murder and illegal activity while convincing millions that he was a guy deserving of respect. As the case's last chapter came to an end, detectives considered the intricacy of human nature and how one person could possess both the remarkable knowledge Harrison demonstrated and the ability to do the deliberate harm the investigation had uncovered. The greatest forger of all time was the man who had made a living by certifying historical artifacts. Keep in mind that a person's public persona could merely be a mask. When no one is looking, true character shows itself in the decisions taken and in the shadows. The Rick Harrison story serves as a reminder to see past charm and fame, and to keep in mind that often the most dangerous predators are those who are most unseen. The next time you use your screen to greet someone in your house, Keep in mind that what you see might just be what they want you to.